feel like maybe Poppy got her avoidance from her father, because the fact that, yeah, he didn't set any contingency plans. He didn't tell Poppy any information about her background. He didn't say, hey, look out for this, look out for that. Don't talk to this person. Don't go there, don't go that. He didn't give her any warnings. I feel like maybe they're both, Poppy inherited her avoidance from him. Like he's like maybe sticking his head in the sand. He's like, okay, this is, I have a great life in the city. It's very nice here. Moon Brian's so safe. And like, I'm just going to ignore any potential danger, pretend that it'll never happen.
Welcome to The Story Thinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Thinker on Patreon. Let's begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 126 of Midnight Poppyland. And we are here with Angela, Aileen, and Sakura.
Hi.
All right, so this is
Hi,
an
guys.
anticipated episode because we had this bomb drop last week where we got to see actually Poppy's mom for real. And now we're gonna get to see what she is like. Sure, it's gonna be amazing. I mean, Poppy's mom could only be a wonderful person, right? All right, well, Sakura, take it away.
Yeah. So now from the beginning, we see she's replying to Poppy. She's like, Poppy, sweetie. And you can hear honk honk. Someone's honking the car. And someone says, Agnes, we're running late. The sales team's waiting for us at the restaurant. Honey, go. And then she says, honey, go tell Agnes daddy gonna get a parking ticket if she doesn't come out soon. And you can see that a little girl saying, Agnes, daddy's getting a parking ticket if you don't hurry up. And she says, sorry, that's my fiance and his little girl. Oh. And you can see she's like talking to Poppy on the phone. She said, I'd love to catch up, but now it's not really a good time, but I'll call you back as soon as I can, okay? And then repeatedly, honk honk.
Double ouch.
Yeah. And it says, it's fine, I'll talk to you some other time. Wait, and then she said, wait, and then someone says, Agnes, I'm so hungry. And she says, I'm coming. And you can see Agnes is just going right ahead. And she said, hello, sweetie, are you still there? And she's talking to Poppy on the phone. And you can see that little girl was like, hurry, Agnes. And then she said, Poppy, and then the guy was like, I think her fiance was like, Poppyland, isn't that your daughter? Please stop yelling, honey. So what she implied to his daughter. She said, what? Agnes has a daughter? And you can see that Poppy was calling someone on the phone, which is her mom, and then you can say, "Wow, doesn't Agnes has a daughter?" She said, "I'm her only daughter. I don't want Agnes to have another daughter." And then, things got a little tense, and then you can see that Agnes had said, "Honey, stop yelling." I think it was her husband said, honey, stop yelling at Agnes for goodness sake. And then she said, Poppy, sweetie, are you there? And
all right, let's stop there and discuss now that we've got Agnes and all her plans are in the way. Well.
Quite messy there.
Well, okay, let me what did you guys expect when you ended off last week? What did you think was gonna happen? What did you think Agnes was gonna be like? What did you think?
I'm going to be really honest with you. I know that the character of Agnes has been, very important to the audience. From my perspective, I haven't really given a lot of importance to Agnes as a character. Like I haven't felt the need to humanize her or analyze her or anything, because I've always felt that she was going to be like one of those characters that are shown to us just to give us a clarification or context, like how her decision with leaving affected Poppy. Like, how's Poppy's mindset? How does Poppy feel? How does Poppy respond to trauma and things like that? Like her fear of abandonment. Like I've always thought of Agnes in that context, pretty much like Tora's mom, that we discussed that if Lily wanted to go deeper into that character, she could, but she didn't really have to, because the character already did her purpose, which was to bring us a little bit of context into the mindset of Tora. So to be completely honest, even when she was introduced to us in the last episode, my first thought was, great, now we're going to finally get some clarification on what the fuck is going on with Poppy's dad. So even up until this point, I am not giving her any importance at all in my mind. And obviously, this was a very, like I said, a very hard introduction, because we are coming into kind of like a middle of the day. You know, it's like when you are existing and you clash with someone and they're in the middle of their day and you have absolutely no context. And it's like a bomb, like a bucket of cold water, because right at the beginning you don't like what you're seeing, and you haven't had this character built in the most positive light. So it's like shitting onto the shit, like it begins with the shits.
Right, which I
that way.
About if like whether there's room, to give her some benefit of the doubt. But before we do that, I want to hear, I guess, Angela and Sakura, what expectations did you have? What predictions did you have from last week?
Honestly, I know like the whole fandom has that like ongoing joke of, is that Poppy's mom this week? And I don't really I didn't really think about her as a character either. It was just that like ongoing joke of, oh, that's Poppy's mom. But I was mildly confused, I guess, that this is the introduction that we get to Poppy's mom, just because it wasn't this like build up for me to meet her, because I always thought that she was just like out of the picture. She apparently has her phone number, I feel like there was more of an expectation of how we meet her versus who she is, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Sakura, how about you? What did you expect?
Well, I really expected for it from the previous episode. I guess it really kind of not somewhat met my expectations, because I really want to see like an introduction about her, like what's her background like and such. But the problem is that we get to see some part of her, and because now we understand that now she had another family, and that shows that I thought she was linked to, I don't want to exaggerate because that comes after, like she's connected to the mafia. So that's what I was thinking of. But the problem is that so now we need to get there little by little. We don't get to know her much. We just know that she has another family. So we don't want to go from a 1 to a 10. So I just say, yeah, I think we get to know her little by little. So
very good.
Just for now.
So I think you're making a very good point, Sakura, that, Lily is she's throwing us in the deep end, and we have a very negative impression of her, right? We're like, he doesn't seem to have a connection with her daughter. She's moved on. Poppy feels abandoned and feels, like she's not desired. And meanwhile, her mom is building this new life with her fiance and another daughter. She doesn't even know that she has a daughter. The guy is like, oh, isn't that your daughter? Like, he barely knows Poppy's name. It's like she's totally moved on, which is so painful for Poppy, as we'll see. But I agree, we do, especially when we read the next part, we do have to think about maybe there's some context that we don't know, or that we're guessing the context, right? So maybe we have to give her a bit of the benefit of the doubt, a bit.
Exactly.
Just a tad.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, now we really can understand why Poppy feels this way, because I think a lot of us did think that Poppy had a deadbeat mom, but I think some of us thought that maybe there was a really good reason why she wasn't in contact with Poppy. We like assumed there was no contact, and we assumed there was like a really good reason. But now it seems like there doesn't seem to be a danger to her being, connected with Poppy. So like,
yeah, I thought that was a very good thing that was clarified for us, because like Angela was saying, there's always been like this like running rumor, it's the connection towards the mafia, and we don't even know if it's a connection to the mafia yet. That's the thing. We are guessing, we are assuming that it's something that is a lot more intricate than just being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or whatever it is that happened. So this is clarification, because at the beginning, a lot of people were speculating that it was actually her that that the connection came through with. And now we have that clarification that actually, no, she's just another corporate girly. She's just climbing, the ladder of success, let's put it that way. So we already know that whatever it is that's going on in the background and whatever is affecting Poppy now is actually not coming from her. So that was one thing that for me was clarified. Like, I don't have to guess, but also that brings a whole new set of questions. And, because obviously there's the thing that, Poppy grew up dirt poor. Like, how can you have a regional sales manager who probably makes a pretty penny have a daughter, that is barely scraping by? Like, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of context that is missing. And it really took me back, because as I mentioned before, I had never given this character any type of deepness to it. I thought that it was just like over and done. You tell me what I need from you, you can go about your merry way. But the way that we are introduced to her is not only very shocking, but it is also like, okay, I have questions now, and I'm assuming that if you're giving me the information this way, is because this is information that you want me to know. So when I went back, I said, okay, so let me see what I have of this woman so far. I mean, we didn't even know her name. So we didn't even have that. So as I went back, the only thing that we know about Agnes is the decision that she made, how that decision affected her family, especially her daughter. And we have looked at Agnes solely through the eyes of Poppy. And I think that's something that has to be, that needs to be a check mark. That needs to be a highlight. All the information that we have of Agnes has been through Poppy's recollections of her, like memories of her. And she told Tora when they were in Moonbright, my mom left when I was 6, and we have never spoken again. And Poppy's dad passed away when she was 14 or 15. So there is a gap, a very big gap of time that we have no context, that we have no information about what happened in that period of time after Agnes left. Why wasn't there any type of communication? And I know that there was something very that shocked the fandom. I mean, I listened.
I guess we're experiencing that internet thing. Hi, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. It's a good thing that I went back, because when I realized, I said a bad word. So, and hold on, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. What was I saying?
Something about Agnes.
I forgot.
I know. So I feel like
okay. Anyway, if I remember, I'll come back to it. But, it's like we are giving all of this information, but at the same time, we really have nothing to go by. So we don't know what was the relationship after she left, if there was any type of communication, who put those boundaries Remember that boundaries are there to protect you. So who made those boundaries? And I remember now. I know that it was very shocking for everyone that she had her mom's phone number, because obviously it's shocking on one part, because you're saying, oh, so all this time there's a door of communication that is open, and apparently it hasn't been used. But at the same time, I know a lot of people saw that as a negative, but and I'm going to get a little bit personal here, because I had never given Agnes that, that grace. When I did in this episode, I realized I have an Agnes and a Poppy in my life. And my relationship is actually with the Agnes, not so much with the Poppy. And the phone number thing, it struck a chord with me, because I know with my Agnes, there is having that contact information, or our Poppy having that contact information, is a door that is always open for them, But my Agnes is very explicit in letting know that they respect that boundary. However, from their side, that door will always stay open in case that our Poppy wants to go back, either if it's to, check in, or if it's to push the door a little bit open or a little bit close. It doesn't matter. The thing is that it's there and it's an opportunity. So I know that while everyone saw it as a negative, because I'm already thinking that I'm familiar with this type of situation, I'm saying, wait, hold on. This is a window of opportunity. The opportunity for contact is there. It's just that there are boundaries in place, and we don't know whose boundaries are those. If they're Poppy's, if there's Poppy's family, if it's their mom, we don't know.
Right. And I think what you're saying is important also, because especially I noticed, like, with Poppy's reaction, which we'll get to in a second. I feel like Poppy, and we know Poppy is avoidant in general and suppresses her feelings. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Poppy herself who couldn't establish a relationship with her mom because it was too painful for her.
Yeah, and she's so brave. You have to give it to her. I mean, this little girl is like, this woman is so brave. She faced her biggest fear, her fear of abandonment, her fear of rejection, that all come from the person who is supposed to be closest to you, your mom, the person who you think is going to love you and protect you. And she was so brave because she wanted to get Tora those answers, and she knew she had to face her fear. She has to face that. That's why you feel this awkwardness, like, this, like, oh my God, like, is this really happening? Like, I'm listening to this, and obviously the background conversation doesn't help at all, and I kind of felt that. And I kind of felt that Agnes just sort of started blabbering at the same time, when you get nervous, it's like that you just start, talking whatever. It's realizing what she's saying.
It's the busy talking. Like, you should not be on the phone when you're busy doing something else. And I can appreciate, because I've seen some people say, like, she didn't want to talk to, maybe she didn't want to talk to Poppy, like, when she was, like, in front of everyone. And I can totally appreciate that. Like, this seems like a private conversation, or like a more in-depth conversation, and there was just so much going on. And at the time, it was the prize, your daughter is calling you. I don't want to say in the middle of nowhere, because I don't know what their communication style is or isn't, but it seemed like, Agnes was just like, not a good time. And that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. But after I, like, stepped back and, like, saw it from, privacy context, I'm like, okay, I will give you that little piece. But then like when the girl in the background just started like dropping, truth bombs, I'm like, oh no, that was
I will say though, I take that little girl's comments with a grain of salt,
mhm.
because we're already seeing that this is a little girl that likes attention, and she
Yeah,
will do
that's true.
anything to get attention. And obviously, if we don't know the context of their relationship, I mean, if
Right.
she is a little girl, and if you're not going to explain to a little girl, oh, I have an older daughter that I abandoned,
Oh, right,
and
because that opens up just a whole
so
other can of worms.
yeah, it's like you're not gonna even gonna waste your breath. Like if that little girl tells you, Agnes, am I the only girl in your life? I'm gonna look at that little girl. I'm gonna say that sure thing, sweetie. You're the only girl in my life. You know, like it's
But
just
But I also think to myself that sometimes I feel like I know it's quite a busy, like, environments. Like you had to multitask, yeah, yeah, because you can tell that I can either feel like she was nervous, but I also feel like she's guilty
of
because the reason,
course there's a lot of
why, because she's at
regret.
hello, Poppy, like, are you still there and there? And then at the same time, like, I feel like, especially when it comes to parents, I feel like when you're into a new environment, and sometimes of course, she's a little girl. She's like, she doesn't know. She's like, I thought I was the only daughter. You thought you were like the only person, and you might feel like, should I tell her the truth? Because sometimes I feel like Agnes wasn't really honest for a reason, because of course, like she chose that lifestyle, and I feel like, of course, Poppy did the right thing to take the leap of faith to speak up about how she feels, and she had what she had in mind. And I think that that's, like you guys say, it's very brave that she took the leap of faith. And I always wanted to say, Ali made a good point that they always say, sometimes there's a saying that just because she closed the door, there's always a window open. And that is very true. And we can see that Poppy said that, because you can see that when the window opens, there's still opportunities. Even the window is shut. No, not the window. The door is shut.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we don't have to get to a point where there's forgiveness or where there's but I do think we can get to a point when we have uncomfortable situations that happen to us. We can get to a point of mutual respect.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I would be happy if Poppy was able to get that with her mom, even if it's just that, just to get to that point where they have mutual respect as women, as familials. And maybe she won't call, maybe she won't, it will be a long road ahead of them, but you still have to give them the chance to do so if they so wish. Because that's also a part of growing, healing from things, mistakes that we make.
Right. And I think that Sakura, what you're saying, like she definitely was very brave in calling her, but we'll see. We'll get to it. We have to switch now. Her bravery ended real fast.
So now we are going to the flashback, and she's saying like, and then you can see that like so first we can see that actress like hello, Poppy line hello, and then we go to the flashback saying, Agnes, please, you can't do this. Poppy's still a toddler. She needs you by her side.
I think we didn't do the previous panel, so
yeah,
the first like bubble.
Yeah, the first, the first.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, so we can see that the background there's a lot of altercations, and then you can see the Poppy, sweetie, are you there? And we get to the flashback. She said, Agnes, I need more time to figure this out. We stay put at the Moonbright until I do. Then 6 years isn't enough time for you, Robert. I'm leaving for the city tomorrow, and that's final. And you can see like she said, now we get there. She say, Poppy, hello. And then we get to the flashback saying, Agnes, please, you can't do this. Poppy's still a toddler. She needs you by her side. And then she said, no, I said it's final, Robert. She's your child too. You can stay on that moonlight for as long as you want with her. And then she said, Pop, and then she ended the call. And then you can see Poppy was like sitting down. She was like sneezing, 𝗪𝗓. And you can see
Poor thing.
Poppy was just sniffing, and they don't 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀, and she said to him, I hung up on her.
Let's pause here for a minute because we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this
For sure.
because I'm gonna get heated. I'm gonna get heated
I have
with
something
this-
to say.
with this adult in this situation. And I want to make perfectly clear from the very beginning, I am not Team Agnes. I am not Team Robert. I am Team Poppy.
Period.
And period. And
Yeah.
like I mentioned before, like I am familiar with this situation because I have it in my own personal life. And when I became an adult, I had conversations with my Agnes, and where I asked them, how had the estrangement had come to be, what had happened, what they could have done different. And the more that I read and reread those bubbles, let's make something very clear here. Like Poppy very well was present at the argument that ended her family's, dynamic. Like this is a very hard conversation that these two people are having. So right off the bat, when we start to see, the tone of, and remember, this is all from Poppy's memories. So we are still looking at this entire very adult conversation, very adult argument, very adult discussion through the eyes of a 6-year-old. So that in itself is a traumatic experience. And she was there and she was present through all of it.
I lost her. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Back again, sorry.
So good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we
Yep.
can hear you.
Okay. So the more that I'm reading and I'm rereading, he is saying, Agnes, I need more time to figure this out. We'll stay put at Moonbright until I do. And then she cuts him off and she goes, 6 years isn't enough for you, Robert. I'm leaving for the city tomorrow and that's final. So this tells me two things. This conversation, we've had it before. And not only have we had this conversation before,
Oh no.
Hello.
sorry, Puerto Rico is Puerto Rican.
So you said that is
Okay, so
Two things, yeah.
yeah, so this conversation, not only have we had it before, so it's a recurrent topic, but I'm guessing I'm getting frustration, I'm getting resentment, I'm getting anger. So this is a conversation that not only it was had, but there were agreements and commitments in place. And one of the parties is not respecting this agreement.
Okay, well, we'll continue from there and hopefully Aileen joins us. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
This is insane. I'm so sorry.
Sure. You meaning, so it sounds like, Poppy's mother wanted something out of Robert and Robert kept promising he's going to give it. And, which we're going to guess, I'm guessing has something to do with safety and mafia safety. And
Yeah.
it sounds like Robert's been pushing it off. And to the point where she's like exploding, to the point she's like, I'm leaving tomorrow. That's it. You had all the chances in the world.
Yeah. And like, I want to call out the close up of the unicorn clad phone case. And there's nothing wrong with liking unicorns, but for my perspective, adult Poppy is having a conversation with her mother that presumably she hasn't seen since she was a child. And the unicorns can be seen as childish. And I feel like, you know, with this close up of Poppy, I feel like there's still parts of her that are like that little girl. And she is, facing her fears and, being, trying to do the right thing, but there are still parts of her that are still that sad, abandoned girl. And I think that kind of shows with the unicorn phone case that there are parts of her that are still like that child.
Mm-hmm. And the way that she huddles in on herself.
And that's valid.
Yeah, sorry. The way that she huddles in on herself and she's really sad, that's also like a very childlike, self-protective, self-soothing measure.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking about unicorns, I have my unicorn plush with me.
I love your yes.
And
I have the stuffed animals in my closet right there.
Yeah.
I don't ever use it, but it's there because I can't part with it.
Okay. I have my 𝗪𝗓𝗓.
Yes. But as Angela's, I want to make a point with Angela, what she's saying, and I want to add on to it. I think not just what I think, but definitely her inner child comes out a lot because, I think everybody has their inner child and it comes out because I feel like I feel like she needs reinsurance and she needs to, her inner child needs to come out, and she's just saying that this is how I feel and this is what I need. And, definitely for sure, there's a lot of like scenes and a lot of things that Poppy reveals her inner child because she has childhood abandonment and wounds in her, and she still has that. And and I realize it's okay to have that because in life we're not perfect. We have events that truly traumatize us, and we have been hurt in our lives, and we never had a perfect life. But at the end of the day, that makes what I love when Lily puts is that even when we get older, it's okay to show your childhood wounds and show your inner child. If you like something, like for example, it's like they always say, you're never too young to like something. And that's the truth.
Especially our generation, like our generation, we are healing our our traumas, and we are healing our relationships with our parents. That's why we feel it. That's why we feel it so deeply, because we can see our reflection in the characters, in their experiences. That's why sometimes we think we have a better outcome or a better answer. Or sometimes we don't like the resolution that the author give us because we are touching on that wound that is ours, and we have to recognize that there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like with Poppy, a lot of the time she comes off as really mature because I think, just the life that she was given. I mean, her mom left when she was a little girl. Her dad passed away when she was still barely in high school. And she got through a really hard, toxic relationship. And I feel like, while she is an adult, I feel like with these conversations, these harder conversations, I feel like she starts to become that child again, where she had to grow up fast, but I feel like there are still parts of her where she is where she just shuts down, because that is her mechanism. And you can see, like, with, you know, with jewelry, or with
Even with Tora.
or
It's
yeah, even with
self-preservation.
Tora.
It's
Yeah,
self-preservation.
exactly. Yeah. And I feel
And
like that.
you can't fault her for that, you know, because that's her
Mhm.
defense mechanism. That's all she knew.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she had to grow up, and she had to be strong for her grandma, and she had to be strong for her aunts and for the people in her life that stood by her. Like, this kid, like, the village really came together for this kid. But at the
Yeah.
same time, none of the adults in this equation have done this girl any favors.
Right.
And
she
I
had
think,
she had to be
and I think that's,
responsible when she moved out by herself, and she's just like, she's doing all of these, like, adult things, like she was a self-taught adult.
yeah, and it happens to a lot of us when we are
Mhm.
parentified in our youth, or when we go through experiences that forces us to assume more adult responsibilities when we're younger. You know, she's
Yeah.
an old lady, and I guess part of the thrill and the attraction also of, you know, her just living life, you know, as a 21-year-old, because she's just 21, and we forget that. You know, she said, you know, I'm 36, and I look at a 20, like, my sister is 22, you know, and she's my baby, you know, like, and
Yeah.
she's barely going into the world and doing her thing, you know, and to see Poppy act so mature for her age, and so responsible, and so, you know, because she had to, you know, she
Right.
had to.
Yeah. And I mean, as a personal experience, I had my daughter when I was 22. I know that's not, like, as young as a lot of other women, but I was 22, and I was, like, kind of living, you know, this party life. And then I got sucker punched. And I had to grow up really fast, because, oh my gosh, I'm bringing
You're
someone
raising a
into this
human.
world. Yeah.
You're
As scary
responsible
as
for
a
a
thought as
human
that
being.
is.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
responsible for
So,
a human being. It's not a puppy.
yep.
Show honor anymore.
Right.
You
It's
know,
not just a
it's
goldfish.
a
Yeah.
human being, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just a goldfish. And you have to be responsible for it, and that's what you would think, which is
Yeah.
why this conversation just, like, it went from 0 to 60, because
Yeah.
there's a lot. Like, if you ask yourself on the next, that, you know, Sakura is saying, when she says, Agnes, please, you can't do this, Poppy is still a toddler, she needs you by her side. I got so pissed off when I read that, because sir, let's start one thing first. A 6-year-old is not a toddler.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
I think that might
And
be from,
that
like,
tells me
really-
that he's, well, but he's using, if you look at it from the, I mean, if you look, because I looked, I wanted to be sure. I went to the internet and I said, okay, what's the age range for a toddler? Like from 1 to 3, because they toddle, they start to walk, they start to gain their independence. So,
yeah.
like, sir, calm down, because you're getting a little manipulative here, because we know that Poppy was a very petite child. So he's infantilizing Poppy even more. You know, we're supposed to sort of get that motherly response from Agnes, you know, like, you know, a mother's love, like a mother wouldn't leave her baby, like, your daughter needs you, you know, and then she calls him out on it. And then she says, no, it's final. And she's your child too. And if you want, and here's the thing, this is a little piece of the conversation, but in this piece of conversation, Agnes never said, I'm leaving and I'm not taking Poppy. She's saying, I'm leaving tomorrow, whether you stay or you go.
Right.
Like at this point, I don't care what you do, if you stay, if you go. And he's actually the one that is already saying, Poppy is staying. We are staying put in Moonbright. So it's kind of like having two bulls in a china shop. You know, it's like two king crabs fighting. We have a saying in Spanish, dos güeyes machos. you know, like two king crabs fighting, just tearing each other to pieces, and they don't care about anything else. No one in this equation is thinking about Poppy, because even if Robert is thinking about Poppy, he, like, this man also make a shit ton of mistakes. Because you're gonna tell me that whatever it is that you did, sir, is gonna have consequences, long-term consequences, even for your daughter, and you didn't even leave a plan to tell the truth, which age. Robert failed Poppy, Agnes failed Poppy, Grandma failed Poppy. Everyone in this family has failed Poppy, because right now, all of the hardships that Poppy is going through, they're not all caused by Agnes.
Right.
And we have to acknowledge that. And we have to acknowledge that. Yeah, she is a shitty mom, and that will never go unexcused. But you also have to, you know, we have this, unfortunately, and I don't want to say unfortunately, because it's kind of like our customs, you know, because we respect our dead. But sometimes we tend to, you know, let it slide when people pass away, the mistakes that they're made because they passed away, you know. And I think because we are seeing this story through Poppy's eyes, obviously Poppy is going to have a very, you know, different image of her father in her mind. But that image doesn't correlate. Like, two things can be true at once. He is true that he was a wonderful father, and he did everything he could for as long as he was with her. And at the same time, we can accept that he was also a shitty father, because he didn't prepare the family or Granny or Poppy enough to face the consequences of his actions in this day.
Being a mafia member. Yeah, it sounds as though he was running away from the mafia life, and that's why they went to Moonbright, you know, and he married a normal person. Like
we don't know. And that's another thing. That's another thing. This conversation tells me that he hasn't told the truth to Agnes either. So he's hiding information from his wife.
Because what I read from the conversation, what I infer, and tell me what you think, is that, you know, they got married, and then, you know, whether it was before or after, you know, he didn't want to live a mafia life, so he said, okay, let's go to Moonbright. It's, you know, a safe place. That's where we can raise our daughter. And it sounds like for whatever reason, Agnes wasn't happy living in Moonbright, wanted to leave, and Robert's like, wait, we can't leave because it's not safe. So Agnes is like, okay, so then come up with a solution. And he wasn't doing that. He was like avoiding it, or maybe he felt it was impossible. Maybe he tried and he couldn't accomplish it. So that's why he was like dragging his feet. And then Agnes is like, too late, too much, I'm going. And then, but you're right. I feel like maybe Poppy got her avoidance from her father, because the fact that, yeah, he didn't set any contingency plans. He didn't tell Poppy any information about her background. He didn't say, hey, look out for this, look out for that. Don't talk to this person. Don't go there, don't go that. He didn't give her any warnings. I feel like maybe they're both, Poppy inherited her avoidance from him. Like, he's like maybe sticking his head in the sand, because he's like, okay, I have a great life in the city. It's very nice here. You know, Moonbright, so safe. I'm like, I'm just going to ignore any potential danger, pretend it'll never happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That could have happened. And at the same time, that's also information that we don't know. We don't know how they met. We don't know if she was living in Moonbright and they met in Moonbright when he relocated. We don't know that. We don't know the intricacies of their relationship. What if Poppy maybe was like an oops baby, like she wasn't planned? We don't know that. Maybe she was planned, you know. But at the same time, you know, it's not a bad thing for a family member, whether it is the dad or the mom, to aspire to have a better job or to have a better situation for her family. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I got the feeling that he was not being clear with Agnes, because he didn't specify. He's like, I'm still not ready to leave because I haven't sorted out my things. Well, what things? And you see the exasperation, like you can feel it. Like, really, 6 years and you haven't fixed whatever it is that you need fixing? I don't think that if Agnes would have known that he was running away from something truly dangerous, she would have said that. You know, like it feels weird that she would know.
I hear. I mean, I guess you could see either way. We don't know. We don't know at this point whether how much she knows or doesn't know. Which begs the question: is she gonna be helpful to 𝗵𝗵? Let's say 𝗵𝗵 does call her back. Does she even know anything to tell her, or she'll have to go to grandma?
There you go. There you go. And that's another spiral, because
Yeah.
a lot of people
Because
were
Granny's
saying,
been keeping stuff from 𝗵𝗵, like, oh, I should tell her, you know, like blah 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 back in Moonbright. And I'm just like, tell her what, Granny? Like, spill the tea. Come on. Like, what's going on? But yeah, like, I mean, there's so much shady stuff that has been going on in the background for the longest time. Like, why doesn't their house have electricity in Moonbright? Like, why are they out in the middle of nowhere in Moonbright? Like, what's going on in
Something
Moonbright?
doesn't add up for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have him changing the address on a government level page.
Exactly.
That part.
You
Yeah,
know, it's
like-
like you have all these little breadcrumbs that point to something a lot bigger. And I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, but you know, why would she call Agnes when she has Granny? Like, Granny would have the tea, like Granny will have the juice. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if you're 𝗵𝗵, if you're thinking like 𝗵𝗵, you're like, I know that my grandmother loves me, but I have caught her multiple times lying to me.
Lying to you.
So-
And why was she
so-
why was she signed in under a different name at the hospital? Like, who are they hiding from? What are they hiding from?
Yeah,
Like,
Granny went to the extent of getting injured just so she
Yeah.
could manipulate her into coming back. She felt bad afterwards and she was very apologetic about it, but that doesn't change the fact that she did it. And a lie of omission is still a lie. And the road to hell is paved with good intention. I'm not saying that 𝗵𝗵's dad was wrong, or that Granny is wrong, or that they don't love 𝗵𝗵. They do love 𝗵𝗵, but they haven't given her any favors by hiding information from her, you know? And they have lied to her. So in my mind, if I was 𝗵𝗵, I would say, I'm not going to go to Granny. Granny's going to lie to me. I'm going to go to the source that I know doesn't have anything to lose. So she's
Yeah.
going to give it to me straight. If she knows something, she's going to give it to me straight, because she's not concerned with hurting my feelings, because she already hurt my feelings. She fucking left.
yeah.
So, you know, I think that's why 𝗵𝗵 called her. It's like, this is my only real source of information.
Yeah.
All right, let's we have anything to say before we move on to the next section?
You just have a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I had a lot of feelings. I told you I was going to get heated. I'm sorry.
okay.
I told you I was going to
No.
get heated.
No, feelings are good. It's okay. Let them out.
Rest it.
Yeah, I guess in the end, I just want to be like, have the understanding that sometimes, you know, we need to, I think it would be a disservice for the characters if we just stayed at, you know, like at surface level, because it's very easy to just go the easier route of saying, I hate this character. It does nothing for me. But if you give it a little depth, if you give it the benefit of the doubt, that's when you really start to enjoy the story.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, honestly. Like, that's what Lilia's been giving us, is forced perspective, as from like a storytelling standpoint, because we don't know what character A is doing while character B is over here, you know, living their life. And then we come to find out later, like in you know, oh, well, character A was actually doing this to save character B's ass. So yeah, so it's a lot about perspective and like what's happening in the background.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, Sakura, you want to continue until the hometown part?
Yes. And yes, so I'm gonna read right now. So you can see that Tora is actually like holding her, like trying to pull her up, and she said, "I'm sorry, Tora." And Tora is actually putting jeans on. She said, "I tried, but," and you can see Tora just putting on the sweater, the knit sweater on her. She said, "But I couldn't bring myself to." And he said, "Forget about that woman. I'll figure something out."
Like, that just is like Tora, you know, I'm sure he's like not happy about losing hopefully some information, so he knows what the heck is going on, but he sees Poppy is upset and he's like, okay, not now, maybe later, but we're gonna let Poppy move on and calm
Right.
down.
Yeah.
He's
And
taking care of his girl.
yeah. And he's zipping up the zipper, and she said, "Oh, okay, but what's with the winter cold?" And he said, "We better go now. Train's leaving soon. Station's just across the road." And then you can see Poppy was shocked, and there's a lot of the shopping bag like aside her. And she said, "Train to where?" He said, "Further north, up to the mountains, somewhere outside of the 𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗪𝗪 range." And he said, "Also where my hometown is," and he's scratching and blushing because you can see like you can see like he's becoming more open. He's like, "This is where I'm taking you to my hometown," and you can see he's very vulnerable right there.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. She brought him to her hometown. It's time for the reverse.
Right. The reciprocation.
And also the context, we didn't know that he knew about his hometown. So that tells me that he's more connected to his roots than he lets on.
Yeah.
We always assumed he was just like raised in Marin City.
Yeah. And it turns out that our homeboy knows his roots and he has a home, a true home, and he's taking the girl that he loves home. And that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. It is.
Are we gonna see like maybe family members or friends from what I know he was very little,
Don't know.
but
I don't know.
a little bit, like a great aunt, a grandma, something.
Yeah, we know that it's gonna be cold. That's the only thing we know. It's gonna be cold.
Yep.
Very exciting. All right, I'll continue. And she's like, but do we have to wear the coats now? I'm already sweating. And it's raining outside, and there's like they're at a cafe, and he's like, yeah, we do. Bag's full, and it's clinking because obviously it's full.
I wonder what's in the bag.
She's like, but oh, okay. And then she's like, but why is yours so suave or suave? One of those. And mine makes me look like a dumpling. And he's like, because yours was on sale and it didn't come in my size. So he's basically saying, yeah, I also would have worn that like lumpy pink jacket. Don't worry. And then he's like, you'll see. Now we get to the you'll see part.
I feel for Poppy. Because I'm the same. I'll get on a coat and I'll be like, oh my God, it's so hot. Like I'm sweating like a pig. Like, do I have to wear this, bro? She's like burning up.
Yeah.
I think she looks fine. She doesn't look like a dumpling. It's just a sporty coat. Like Poppy, like relax. You look okay. Don't feel so bad about yourself. And now they're in the train station, and there's security in the train station. There's a metal detector.
And those train stations, I swear.
I honestly don't know how this happened, but what happens is that like there's a line, and then there's people whispering on the line, and Tora's standing there with his bag, and the attendant is like, what? Bag zipper broke? And she picks up the bag, and we see Poppy on the distance. She's like, but she's obviously very nervous. And then Tora reaches his hand over and gives her this winning smile, the smile that makes the women call Fred and Frank sausages. And he strokes her hand.
Dimple.
Yes.
And he like puts his hand on her hand and he strokes it. And she just, any rational thought goes out of her mind.
Like she has heart in her eyes. Did you guys see that? That she has like literal hearts in her eyes.
hearts and stars, and she's like red, I think redder than anyone has ever gotten in this comic. And she gasps, and everyone in the like line gasps and blushes. It's like, this is like aura the spreading beyond like for the next 20 feet. And even Poppy gasps. It's just insane. And
just when I think that she can draw him any hotter, she goes and
does.
fucks my life up.
Mhm.
Like, he is gorgeous. And I love the parallel of, remember the first time that he was in a train station at the beginning of the comic? When he did the same with the lady that was sold him the ticket. Like, when I saw that, I was like, fucking TSA, come on, I know where you're going with this. You're gonna give me a shot. I know what you're gonna do.
I guess
gonna use the
get
smolder.
past the metal detector. Like, I guess the metal detector is for people, right? And then the bags are for I don't know, where I'm like the security I'm used to. If there's a metal detector, there's always like that box that x-rays bags. So like, I'm surprised they don't have it here, but like, I guess here they just manually open it. Whatever, it doesn't matter for the purposes of the story.
I mean, he bought a mansion in a day, so it's fine. Like, let's not worry about that.
I mean,
it's called plot armor.
for sure. But yeah,
also, like, go ahead, mommy.
Oh, sorry. We also know, we found out his charm, that he knows he uses good looks to, I don't want to say manipulate because it's a negative word, to kind of like attract other women to get what he wants. So that's
manipulation.
Yeah, you can say it, honey. It's fine.
Like,
it's not bad if you're conscious that you're doing it.
Right.
And if it's for a good reason, and obviously this is like, I mean, it's not for a good reason for the general public, but
but it could
for us, it's like, okay, bye, I'm
pretty privileged though.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yep. Pretty people get stuff.
Yeah, he knows how to use his good looks to get what he wants.
True.
So now they're on the train, and they've gotten on, no problem. It's beautiful, beautiful scenery. We have mountains nestled with clouds and grass, and they're sitting in the train, and it's pretty abandoned where they are. And there's like this massive Tora Poppy is sitting there with the duffel bag in between them. Tora is sulking. Poppy is covered in her coat and like in shade. She doesn't look very happy either. And then she's sleeping.
Can I like interject here? Because I thought, okay, I just want to know, like, who put that bag there? And why is it sitting in the middle of them? Because that's something that I would do to be petty if I saw, like, my man like do something like that to get his way. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe he stuck the bag like in the aisle seat, thinking that like she was gonna sit by the window, and she didn't, because maybe she was feeling petty that he did that. That's something that I would do. Like, admittedly, I would have sat like on the opposite side. And I'm not ashamed to say that, but I just think that it's funny that like she's all like cloistered in the aisle seat when there is, space open by the window.
There's space everywhere, like literally everywhere.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I just thought that was so funny. Like, who put the bag there?
I think Poppy did. She was like, "Oh, you're gonna flirt with people to get what you want? Well, why don't you flirt with this bag for the rest of the trip? See how that conversation goes for you."
He's jelly.
Yeah,
he's jelly.
Oh yeah, and he's all sulking, and that's fantastic.
Remember that the little gasps are different. Like, the little gasps from the attendants, they're all like the gasps of the But Poppy
Yeah.
gasp, that gasp is
That's like
fear. That's fear. That's like, like I did
Yeah.
not realize that he could. And remember that Poppy is kind of like trying to retrain Tora. Remember the scene that we got with Quincy, that he's like, we got to make it the hug last more than 3 seconds, according to Poppy Land. So,
Yeah.
and she's like, and she's kind of like trying to teach him that he can get the same results, maybe using different methods that are not the ones that he's used to using. So I could see her being a little salty about it. Like, well, maybe
Yeah.
like if you think you need to use your looks to get what you want, then fine. But I'm not gonna be happy about it. And you can talk to this fucking duffel bag for the rest of the trip. Fuck you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm tired. Like, go
Yeah,
flirt
this
with the
duffel bag
brat.
is gonna say as about much to you as I am right now, buddy. So get comfortable.
I love a petty Poppy. And she can be an
too.
asshole. She's an asshole.
Oh
Let the
yeah,
girl be.
yeah.
She's had a
It's
rough
not
22
secret
hours.
anymore.
Yeah, she can afford to be petty.
All right, Angela, here we go.
Okay. So let's see here. So Tora's sulking, and we see Poppy is sitting on the other side of the duffel bag, and now she's asleep. She's, it's been a long, like, what, 48 to 96 hours. It's been a long week. Like, girlfriend is just catching some Z's. It's fine. So then she thinks, that call with mom jolted some memory, but I only remember snippets of it. Was it just my imagination? How could I remember that conversation if I was only 6?
I think she could.
And
Still, I think 6-year-olds can remember something that significant where their mom leaves.
yeah. And have you ever tested the memory of a 6-year-old? Like they remember, well, it's oh, what's the word? Oh no, they remember what they want and then they forget, like, I forgot that you told me to clean my room, blah, blah, blah. But then they'll remember, oh, mom, remember you told me that you would take me to go see that movie? But yeah, selective. They have very selective memories. But I would think that, yes, if you went through something that traumatic, you would remember it.
Mhm.
So we go back. It's the house in Moonbright. And we have Pops. I'm going to get groceries from town. Remember to clear out your dad's stuff from the closet. You promised to do it weeks ago. Again, selective memory. She's like, I know. I'll do it today, Gran. Okay, so it's between Granny and Poppy. So it's like thud thud, cough. So dusty in here. So we have Poppy. She's on like a bench of some sort. And she's like, and so empty. Dad doesn't have many okay. Dad doesn't have many belongings, huh? Thud thud. Hey, and we get little, I don't know, like teenager Poppy. And we see her old helmet. She's like it's this stupid thing again. And she's like, I haven't seen you since grade school. Slip, of course. And she's like, God, and she grabs the
shelf.
what was it? Yeah, the shelf. Thank you. It's crack. Ah! So she's gonna fall. because that's what she does. She falls.
She had the
And and hence the helmet. And we see that the helmet is on the ground now, kind of in pieces. She's like, oh shoot. And she's apologizing to the helmet because it's an inanimate object, and she apologizes to them all the time. She's like clack clack, and I think she's like trying to put it back together. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you stupid. It's just so cute because like there are parts of her that still like she still does that. And then we get a clack and a camera has either so a camera falls on the floor. She's like, huh? Like, what the heck? And then we see that she is putting a a chip into her computer, her little laptop. And Aileen pulled that from the camera, and she's like, I know you guys were afraid I'd fall and hurt myself, but turning my helmet into a GoPro is so not cool.
Yeah.
Clack, clack, clack.
Still not cool. I agree.
Yeah, no, that's weird. But just for old time's sake, let's see what my dumb grade school self was up to. Hee hee. And then we have and then we have just a screen, and it's play video, yes, yes, or yes. And of course she clicks on yes. So yep, and that's where we end.
All right. This is like the biggest setup for like, oh, this will be innocent and cutesy and like heart-shaped, and it'll just be like me playing on my bike. And mind you, like, what are we seeing next episode, guys?
Exactly.
I'm curious.
I think it was also like that memory, when I read it, I said, wow, that's a little bit hard, to pick up your dad's belongings and clear them out. That's a very hard thing to do for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was interesting, like you were saying, Angie, how as children we suppress sometimes memories, or we forget memories. And then there are certain things that we remember, that are very specific. And that call with her mom, triggered those memories back. And imagine if you're 14 years old, 15 years old, grandma here, she's treating Poppy like an adult. She's like, you promised that you were going to clean out your dad's stuff, but at the same time, like, this is a 14-year-old. You're asking a 14-year-old clear out her dad's stuff.
Yeah.
And she's going about it the most innocent. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to find that chapter, but I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the one that she was talking with Mr. Lamb in her meeting, that, she said when she, told us that her dad had passed away, and she had actually hadn't believed it at first. Like, she has spent a few days afterwards, just kind of like expecting him to come back.
To wake up,
To wake up. And then we have this, now this memory of like, hey, Poppy, you promised weeks ago that you were going to clear out your dad's stuff. And you kind of have to wonder, like, maybe she didn't do it because she forgot. Maybe it was because she was still expecting him to come back. Right. She still has that innocence and that expectation of a child, of a little kid, that my dad is going to come back. Like, it's not final. It's like, how did anyone sit down with her and explain to her the concept of death? Or, like, it makes you have a lot more questions about her growing up. And again, no shade to her grandmother. Like everyone did the best they could. But it's just like another layer of Poppy, you know, like this is why she is the way that she is, you know, why she has that blind optimism, why
Mhm.
she's so good, and why she acts the way that she does,
Yeah.
you know. And we also got a little breadcrumb about Dad. Dad didn't have many personal belongings.
Because
So
That part
what
right
is he
there.
trying to hide? What did he have to get rid of to run away?
Yeah.
exactly. So he lived a very simple, very simplistic life, because if there ever came a time, like if you don't keep a lot of personal stuff, it's because you know that at any moment you're gonna have to.
Well, yeah, and Tora also doesn't have a lot of personal belongings either, from what we have gleaned, because he is also, you know, always a lot of the times he's changing his location.
Yeah, good catch. Yeah,
So
that's a nice parallel. Hmm.
And also, you know, maybe her dad doesn't have stuff because it'll incriminate him. And he doesn't want to have anything connected to the mafia in safety.
Yeah. So what do you think is in that hard drive?
Okay, I have a theory. Do you remember that picture from a long time ago where Tora and the gang, you know, the Naren Kings or whatever, are, you know, the white van, and there's a little girl, and Tora's comforting the little girl. We all speculated it's Poppy. What if that recording is on the camera?
Maybe.
Mm.
All right, what do you guys think? Any other ideas?
Could be. I
I
honestly have
mean,
no idea.
I mean, we know Poppy has said that she was a very clumsy child, and I think she mentioned that she even had a concussion. That's why her mom made her wear a helmet. So who knows? Maybe she fell, or maybe that's a memory that she suppressed. Who knows?
That's a good idea, because we were wondering, like, hello, does she not like either of them, really, either Tora or Poppy? Don't they recognize each other? Something, some question. Okay, concussion, that could explain it. I don't know about Tora's end, but maybe.
Do you remember in the Moonbright card the question that he asked her?
Which one? I don't know. I don't remember which one specifically.
Poppy, do you like strawberries? And she was
Oh,
like,
okay.
actually,
Oh yeah, and growing
And
up,
she-
she was always like a cookies and cream kind of girl.
yeah, she was like, actually, no.
It's just like, no. Yeah.
Fine.
So
Yeah.
who knows? But I think that something could be there.
Yeah.
Would it be something incriminating, or maybe a piece of information that she saw, but she at the time, you know, she saw it as with the mind of a 14-year-old, so she didn't really understood what she saw.
But I wonder though, because do we know, and this is just like me trying to get a little perspective, do we know if it fell from the helmet, like it was in the helmet, or did it like, was it placed in the helmet afterwards, or like where is this like camera coming from? Like, was it near the helmet when it fell? I'm just kind of like, you know, trying to get a little perspective here, like where did this camera come from? Where was it?
Maybe it's not even from her helmet. Maybe
Yeah.
she thinks so, but it's like something that the dad had or the mom had, and it's not even
Yeah.
really like that. That is such a cool idea.
Mhm.
I also wanted to add on with Mindy what she's saying, maybe a theory. I don't know. I could be wrong or not, but like Mindy mentioned about, like, you know, the time, like, remember when it was Quincy, Tora, and when they were young, and they were like a group of boys with the band, you know, and you know those pictures when they were young, they took
Yeah.
a picture, and
The
then
Naren
you
King.
see Tor helping the girl. It could be that maybe she maybe during that time, I think maybe Poppy had the helmet on, and maybe, you know, because she might need that helmet, you know, in order to protect herself. And, you know, she's very clumsy, you know. So I probably think to myself, she probably needed you know, I feel like she might go to places maybe to I don't know, sometimes maybe she visit a lot of places to get information and all, and such as, I don't know. I just think that way because, her dad's trying to keep on track on her or something, but I'm not
I
too sure.
Yeah, I also wonder though, what memory exactly is this going to bring up? Because she said that phone call, right? She said that phone call with her mom brought up a memory. So I'm wondering maybe that memory has something to do more with her mom
I think
or
so.
something like that. Not necessarily like maybe something she saw from the video regarding her mom. I don't know, but I'm like really invested in what exactly that memory is for her that is going to be put into play hopefully next week.
I think I'm with you, Angela, but when you said that, was that camera a part of the helmet, or did he use the helmet to hide the camera? And I'm leaning more towards your second theory, because again, this is a helmet that Poppy used when she was in grade school. So let's say that when she was like 5 years old, 4 years old, like
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. So it was just for protection. So afterwards, Poppy grew up and she didn't need to use it anymore. But still, you don't get rid of it because it's like a nice memento from her childhood. And if you
Right.
wanted to hide something important,
Yeah.
where would you hide it that no one would
Right.
suspect to look at, to look for it?
Yeah, exactly. And
So I don't
if he is a man of very few possessions, why did he choose to keep that possession?
exactly. And I don't think it has to do anything with Agnes, because I think
Maybe not.
it's been pretty, like, I think it's proven that she's very like basic in the sense of, she's a corporate girly, like she's out there, she's in the world. So if it's something that needs to be hidden from the world, I don't necessarily think that it would have to have anything to do with Agnes. We don't know because she saw it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It's
like, I don't
something.
want, it's something. Maybe we're
Yeah.
expecting to find like this huge secret that she has, conveniently suppressed, but maybe it's just
Yeah.
a memory of her meeting Tora when she was in grade school, because he is
Could
older
be
than her. I think he's like 5 years older
5
than her.
years older or something. Yeah.
So let's say if she was 6-year-old, he would be like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little older.
Like maybe that picture kind of goes, who knows, maybe it's a memory that is completely inconsequential, or maybe it's a memory that is like, ooh, this
Yeah.
little girl
Oh,
saw something.
yeah.
There
Who
it is.
knows?
Well, I mean, I just also next week is tomorrow, so
Oh yeah.
I know.
we'll find
So
the answer
exciting.
shortly. Or hopefully, unless we do a time skip to like, I don't know, Gil or something.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
so what's everyone's favorite panel?
Ooh.
Well, I think I can think of one that's probably people's favorite panel.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
just
I
go
think
with
those
mine.
awesome.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Actually,
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, honestly, okay, I love the one where like he's smirking and like being all suave and everything, but I love asshole Poppy, where she's being all like petty and like sitting on the opposite side of the duffel bag. Like that just that just makes me, I don't know, it made me giggle when I saw that, because she's just like, she could have sat like right next to him, but she chose to sit on the very opposite side of the bag. So that was mine.
cute. Sakura, do you have a favorite panel?
Oh yeah, so my favorite panel has to be when they were at the security check and you could see, like, of course, Tora like was like, showing his dimples And I also like the scene where she like everybody was shocked and their eyes were glittering. Yes. And their eyes were like glittering and such a that part right there. I love how Mindy's just showing like, and I also like the part like, Angela mentioned like when she was she was being petty, she was just like holding her arms like that's such a meme. That's a mood right there.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you should use that as a meme. Like that's your mood.
Yeah, current mood is Monday or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when your significant other doesn't buy you the Starbucks, the Starbucks that you want.
Oh my God. Yeah. like there's been some times where we're like in a rush to go somewhere and I leave like 10 minutes early so that I think, okay, well, I'm gonna get my Starbucks, and then nope, he just whizzes past the Starbucks and I'm just like
He's like,
I feel betrayed.
Yes, I thought I didn't need to communicate.
Yeah.
What's your favorite panel, Aileen?
I actually have like I have three favorite panels, and the sequence of him. Wait, hold on. Mindy,
Yeah.
help me out. The sequence where he's putting the clothes on her.
Oh, where she's like, that's so sweet.
I love that. Yeah, I love that because it reminded me a lot, like my grandmother used to suffer from depression. And just that act of the person that loves you, like taking care of you when you can take care of yourself because you're too busy, like your mind is too busy with other stuff that you forget to do even the most basic stuff, which is like changing your clothes or making sure that you're dry when it's raining outside. So just him listening to her and going through the motions, just putting on the pants, and she's not even thinking about it. She's not even thinking that he is dressing her. She's just like blabbling about like, I'm so sorry, Tora, like I thought I could do it, but then I freaked out and I hung up on her, and she's like giving him all this like nervous blabber, and he's just like taking care of her, like making sure that she's dry. So for me, that was like, this man shows how he loves,
That's sweet.
and we love him for that,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's our king right there.
Oh, well, my favorite is just aesthetically. I love the mountain scene because I am feeling a little cooped up and I really want to travel. It's not going to happen for a while, but this looks gorgeous and I would love to do it myself. So, all right. And now a question for the audience. If you go right down in the comments, harkening on our discussion about Agnes, what do you think of the dynamic between Agnes and Robert? What did our conversation spark some new thoughts that you maybe didn't have, and give you insight into potentially what happened with Agnes and Robert that makes you judge Agnes a little less harshly? All right,
let's go, guys. Let's do this. Leave it in the comments. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think, guys?
What makes you feel? We know this character like incites the passion, so we want to see the passion.
Yes, a lot of feelings were felt with this one.
Yes, this
Really,
one.
very intense conversation, not gonna lie.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the episode title will be kind of inflammatory, sorry, but well.
We love it. We love it, especially like, and also as a reminder, just to have empathy and to try to put yourself in another person's perspective. It doesn't only help you to give you the story, that it will have more depth and you have more fun with it. But I think also what we loved a lot more about this chapter is that it really touched something in each and every one of us, which is the child that lives inside of us, and how, our experiences have shaped that child into the adult that we are today. So we all cried a little bit with our inner child in this episode. For whatever reason that you may have, I think that's what, what I love about Lily, that, she's able to touch the hearts of all of us that we're just going through this very, the human experience.
Mhm.
So
It's a fictional story with very realistic problems.
Yeah.
For sure. I want to say to what Eli just wanted to say is that, it's okay to keep in touch with your inner child and don't care what people think about what you're doing and say, oh, it's childish what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, there's, our inner child needs something, just do what we do, what we love, what we do, because at the end of the day, they always say, there's, like I always say before, you're not too young to do anything. Like, for example, if you like to play Legos, there's no, like they always say, you're never too young to play Legos, because at the end of the day, aren't you too young for this and that? You can like whatever you want. Like, we love Disney, we can love Disney. And I realized that it's okay to like what we want to love, because I know that, like I say, it's good to express your inner child. It's okay to express what we love, and it's okay to, do what we do to make us happy. Because, I feel like society always expects us, like you can see Poppy is grown too fast. She's mature as her age. Because I feel like we all know that she never had the chance to keep in touch with her childhood because she gone through a lot, and everybody has like, expect her to do this. She went through a toxic relationship. She felt like she was pressured by society. But at the end of the day, I feel like society should not tell us what to do. If you want to have fun, we'll just have fun.
Right.
do whatever you need to do to heal your inner child.
That is true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, at the end of the day, no matter if, other people think that you are stupid, selfish, naive to feel how you feel, those are still your feelings. And they're still
very
valid.
And they're
Yeah.
very valid.
Yeah,
And your boundaries are valid, and
exactly.
and we need to respect them as well. Even if those boundaries leave you feeling a little lost, I think it's also, like I mentioned before, like just having that common, like that mutual respect of validating that other person's feelings, even if you disagree with them or you're not there with them yet, because either you need more information or they need more information or they need more time. Just allow them that space.
Yep.
Right.
Not everything is set in black and white. There is always that gray area, and there's always that perspective of, there's side A, side, I always say this, that there's always three sides to the story. What person A says happens, person C says happens, and then there's B, what actually really happened. So we always have to, as you said, give people the benefit of the doubt, because there's the true story somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, we're just all existing in different gradients of gray. And maybe my gray looks a little bit darker than yours, and maybe your white looks a little off-white, or maybe
maybe it's 50 shades of
gray. Yeah, maybe it's 50 shades of gray, But that's us.
All right. Well, maybe we should title that. Should be the title of the episode: 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my God, go for it!
Yes.
That's a good one. That's gonna be a clickbait.
Yeah.
It'll be like, oh, you thought you were in for a
Appropriate-wise.
safety conversation? Guess what? It's childhood trauma.
50 Shades of Agnes Grey. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you, Sakura and Angela and Eileen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Sakura. I
Thank
had
you,
an awesome time.
Angela. Thank you,
Thank you to my current patrons, Lily, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, 𝗪cie 𝗪𝗪𝗱, Anne, Rose, Alexa, Misti, Joanne, Esther, and watching you people, Emily, Jean, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Christine, Sadie, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, 𝗪𝗏𝗡𝗧, Ruby, 𝗬𝗵𝗱𝗆, and 𝗪𝗏. Your support is truly appreciated.